Hey everyone! As expected, a new trailer for Silent Hill F was shown at Gamescom opening night live, and this time we finally got to hear the English dub. We also get some interesting new details, including being introduced to a creepy new male fox priest character, who actually seems to be the main priest guy we saw in the reveal trailer a few months ago with the white hair and the creepy glowing eyes and earrings in the background. Could this man somehow be a grown-up version of Shu? Could this mean that Hinako's friends aren't really who we think they are? Maybe they aren't even really her friends, but are people in the cult who she is familiar with and is around all the time. If Shu is this fox priest, could it mean that Rinko and Sakuko are actually the two priestesses with the fox masks tending to Hinako in the earlier reveal trailer? There's a lot of fascinating new stuff in this trailer that brings us even more questions and seems to really change our perceptions of what's going on here. This trailer made me even more excited, and I honestly can't wait to unpack what we've seen so far. Join me in what will probably be my final theories on Silent Hill F until the game comes out next month, as I will be once again diving into this brand new trailer, examining some of the new scenes, characters, and dialogue to see if we can finally piece together the mind-bending story that Ryukishi has crafted for us. I will also reveal who I think this new male fox character truly is, and come up with a theory or two on how it all may tie together. First things first though, I am so excited we finally got to hear the English dub. We have Susie Young doing the voice for Hinako. Susie has also voiced Yuffie in the Final Fantasy VII Remake and has also done numerous English dub roles for games and anime, such as Persona 3 Reload, Genshin Impact, Chainsaw Man, Avowed, Slitterhead, Solo Leveling, and The Apothecary Diaries. It seems like Caleb Yen, who has voiced the main hero in Metaphor ReFantasio, Honkai Star Rail, The Apothecary Diaries, and Demon Slayer, will also be voicing the mysterious fox priest seen in the trailer as well. There's not much else known about who the rest of the English dub voice actors are, but I could swear I heard Maria's voice actress from Silent Hill 2 Remake as the voice of Junko, or who I assume is Junko, in the new trailer. The female voice telling Hinako that she will kill her friends with her own hands sounds identical to Maria from the Silent Hill 2 Remake.
So this is where you are. I wondered where you had gone. You need to start getting ready. It's time to say your goodbyes. You're going to kill them with your own hands. Doesn't matter who I am. The kind two lovers might call special. I can show you if you want. Unless you have somewhere else to be. What? Come on, don't give me that look. I was just kidding.
So I'm gonna assume it's her voice actress for now, at least until we find out otherwise. Regardless, I'm sure we'll find out when the game comes out either way. I'm a huge English dub fan, and usually prefer playing games with English dubs, because it's usually hard for me to focus on enjoying the gameplay and dialogue if I have to constantly read subtitles. I was hoping the game would have an English dub, so it's nice to finally hear it and see it confirmed. Personally, I think the English dub sounds great so far, so I'll definitely be playing with the English voice acting. Okay, let's get into the juicy stuff. The trailer starts out with a surprising crime scene and some radio dispatch audio that is a little hard to make out, but it's actually a nice throwback to the radio from the earlier Silent Hill series. Thankfully, Konami has uploaded some subtitles though for this part to help us dissect it. The subtitles mention that they did not find a suspect at the scene of the crime, that the chances are good about something, that someone was last seen fleeing Taniyoshi Shrine, and to exercise extreme caution. This, along with Junko's voice later in the trailer mentioning about Hinako having to kill her friends, seems to hint at the possibility that Hinako has killed her friends, something I had speculated about earlier in one of my earlier theories about Hinako having to kill or sacrifice her friends. Right now this trailer would have us believe that the police at least seem to suspect that Hinako has killed her friends and is on the run. As we know though, there is much more going on here than what they are suggesting. So even though we and the police are being led to believe that Hinako has seemingly killed her friends, this might not actually be the case here. First, I'd like to mention that I think there will be a lot more going on here, and I think the first playthrough will be vastly different from the second and possibly even third playthroughs as we uncover the truth of this mystery and what's really going on here. Moving on though, next we are shown what appears to be a flashback scene of Hinako meeting a man in a white kimono kimono and a fox mask. He is leaning over with some kind of pouch or bag that he is carrying. He explains that Hinako saved his life, that she laid claim to his soul, and in return mentions that he will save her soul by claiming the life of her old self. A few moments later, we see him with a lantern, leading Hinako somewhere as she follows him further into the dark shrine. We hear what sounds like someone speaking over a radio, or possibly some kind of old tape recording of what I think actually sounds like a pre-recorded doll, talking about how a good day is always an extraordinary day, that an extraordinary day isn't always good, and that today is a bit too extraordinary. Then we hear who I personally think is Junko, telling Hinako that she needs to get ready and say her goodbyes because Hinako will be killing her friends with her own hands. We see glimpses of Hinako's house that has seemingly changed, and Hinako finds a doppelganger of herself who tells her to die. Interestingly enough though, Hinako mentions the house being her house, but yet the house we see in this scene actually seems to have pictures of Rinko and her family, so this area we're seeing here might not actually be Hinako's house, but rather Rinko's house instead. At the end of the trailer, we hear a telephone ring, and the mysterious priest man talks to Hinako, telling her it must be hard to say goodbye to her childhood friends. We finally then see a close-up of his face, with his white hair pulled back in a ponytail with long earrings. It's revealed that he is wearing a very detailed Kitsune mask with glowing yellow fox eyes. The next part was cut off during the opening night livestream, but in the full video on YouTube, we actually see an extra final shot that shows us the bloody crime scene inside the shrine, where Hinako says that it had to be done as soon as she could. The most important aspects of this trailer seems to focus on this mysterious and manipulative fox priest man whose face is obscured by a fox mask. If we look closely, we can see this is the exact same male priest with his hair tied back that is seen with the earrings and creepy glowing eyes at the end of the reveal trailer from a few months back. It almost seems like this man is the leader of this fox cult, or at least the head priest at this shrine. I love how they aren't scared to show his creepy glowing eyes, and I know this will probably have a realistic psychological explanation in the game itself, so it may not be what it appears to be, but I really like how they seem to be leaning more into this supernatural and occult with this game. I really hope they delve into more of the supernatural, folklore, and occult this time, with exploring fox spirits, deities, yokai, and creatures of Japanese mythology and folklore here, instead of everything just being hallucinations or personal sins or trauma just being manifested. I know I've mentioned in my theories on how I believe Hinako's psyche, guilt, and psychological trauma may manifest a lot of what's going on here, with multiple personalities or yokai representing guilt, trauma, or other things. But I really hope they don't retread the same old story of our protagonist secretly being guilty of some crime or murder and everything just being a manifestation of guilt and trauma. Yes, I think for the first playthrough it will seem like Hinako is guilty of killing what appears to be her friends, but I think the truth will later reveal that either something or someone else killed them, or that they didn't even exist in the first place and are really the cult members. Regarding the Foxman, it seems possible that he could actually be a supernatural entity, like this cult's Kitsune deity, since he has glowing fox-like eyes, but I'll get into this a little bit more later. He does mention though that Hinako saved his life, where we then see some sort of flashback where we see Hinako helping him somehow as he bends over and seems to hold her hand. If you look closely though, his face actually looks like a slightly older Shu, Hinako's male childhood friend, only with white hair. His reveal at the end of the trailer really confirmed this for me. The whole facial structure, especially the cheeks, dimple, and lips, are the exact same as Shu's. They match. And I couldn't help but scream, "Oh my god, that's Shu!" at the TV when I heard him talking to Hinako. Is it possible that Shu turns out to be this fox priest grown up? Could he have traveled back in time somehow as well? This is Ryokishi 7, so time travel and time loops are very possible here, especially since recent information from the preview tells us that the game will have different cutscenes, new bosses, and new endings when we play through the game multiple times. The website also mentions that Shu's families are physicians, and the rating does mention drug-induced hallucinations. physicians, and he definitely seems to be very knowledgeable about medicine, treatments, and the ways of the cult and shrine. Him being the head priest and physician at the shrine or cult makes a lot of sense here as well. If this fox priest man is really Shu, then I think it's very possible that Hinako's friends, as we see and know them throughout the game, aren't actually really her friends, but are her warped delusions and manifestations of other people she's grown up with from the cult or who she was familiar with growing up. I honestly think it will turn out that Rinko and Sakuko are actually not high school girls, but are actually the two fox priestesses seen wearing fox masks in the earlier trailer that were seen tending to Hinako at the shrine with the male fox priest. This is why we have to fight a version of Sakuko dressed as a shrine priestess. In fact, her outfit here looks identical to the outfits that the shrine priestesses were wearing in the earlier scene in the reveal trailer. Like we see with Hinako playing make-believe with dolls as a child, I think this reality of Hinako living a normal teenage life with her friends Shu, Sakuko, and Rinko is not real, but is actually a delusion of Hinako's fantasy. It's her playing pretend or make-believe, using dolls and imaginary friends as an elaborate fantasy or daydream. I mean, if a child grows up isolated and has no friends, then usually they end up playing pretend with dolls and making up fantastical stories or adventures. As children, if we're alone, we often daydream and have adventures with imaginary friends, often basing them on the people we see around us, like family or other people we might want to be friends with. This is what Hinako's doing, and I believe this is what Shu, the head fox priest, and possibly even Junko, is trying to do by forcing Hinako to kill her friends. They are either trying to force her to kill her friends to help her shatter the delusion and wake her up from this fantasy, or they are part of the cult and the cult is using drugs to induce this hallucination and fantasy in Hinako as part of their ritual and sacrifice. Speaking of which, if the members of the cult are Hinako's so-called friends, then this could be a way for the cult to get Hinako to sacrifice them as part of a huge ritual, giving up their lives for their deity and beliefs. Perhaps by getting Hinako to kill all the members of this cult in a ritual sacrifice, this will actually resurrect their deity, or maybe even taint Hinako so that she becomes the perfect live vessel for their deity. I honestly think Konami and Ryukishi are trying to trick us here with all these earlier trailers. I mean, think about it. Konami shows us a reveal trailer hinting at the possibility of Hinako being dead. Then they show us a trailer of her seemingly complicated friendships, with her friend calling her a traitor and turning into a grotesque boss fight, and her other female friend seemingly pushing her down the stairs and trying to take her only male friend away from her. Now they show us this trailer, implying she has murdered all of her friends with a pipe at a suspicious crime scene. They are showing all of this to make us think that Hinako is either dead or is guilty of killing her friends. After thinking about this for a while, I now firmly believe that these are all red herrings from Ryukishi and Konami to make us think that they are doing yet another repeat of Silent Hill 2's story, but it will end up being something completely different here. Konami is manipulating us by playing into the idea that we will be having yet another protagonist with a murderous, guilty past who is forced to confront their crimes and sins. Most fans of the Silent Hill series expect this, and quite frankly, a lot of us are kind of getting tired of it, especially after Konami has constantly tried to recreate Silent Hill 2's story and success in past failed installments like Homecoming, Downpour, etc. They know that this is what most people are going to expect going into it, that Hinako is guilty of something and is responsible for killing her friend somehow. I think this will seem like it's the case for the majority or perhaps even all of the first playthrough, which will actually turn out to be a drug-induced hallucination or a false construct, either a wish fulfillment fantasy where Hinako is trying to live out a normal life with normal friendships she was denied by her parents, sister, and the cult shrine, or this is the cult's way of using these drugs and drug-induced hallucinations to keep Hinako sedated and brainwashed, living in a dream world or delusional fantasy of her ideal life so that they can maintain control over her and make her more susceptible and compliant to their ways, just like the Fox Priest was doing by manipulating her at the end of the trailer. The second and third playthroughs will peel back the layers, shattering these illusions to really unveil the twisted truth about what's really going on. The horror of the truth is her realizing that these people aren't really Hinako's friends, but are actually members of the cult shrine or possibly related to her, who are also her captors, disguised as her friends, keeping her caged as they prepare and use her for their rituals and sacrifice. Junko's voice telling her she has to kill her friends is either because she wants to shatter and free Hinako from this delusion to help her escape the cult, or because the cult are prepping Hinako to kill and sacrifice them for a specific ritual. For Hinako, her friendship itself may actually be the illusion she has to destroy if she wants to fight back, escape, and bring down this corrupted cult and its members for good. I strongly believe that the opening of her playing with a doll is a parallel and a hint to this, showing us that as a child, Hinako projected roles onto lifeless objects. Now, as a teen, she is being forced to live in a dream world, a fantasy of a normal teenage life with companions and friends. Ryukishi 7 and Silent Hill have both dealt with unreliable narratives and realities, distorted friendships, and personal trauma being twisted and manipulated. Her childhood dolls are essentially the same as her friends, because Hinako's friends are not real. They are simply projections of cult members and the people in her life, warped into a fantasy of normalcy either she herself created to cope with trauma and isolation, or the cult is using to manipulate and control her. There is also one final theory I'd like to throw out here based on some of the things we see in the trailer and what Ryukishi has done in the past. In the trailer, we see Hinako approaching a doppelganger of herself that tells her to die, and the priest in the fox mask who not only looks exactly like Shu, but an older adult version of Shu. Since this is Ryukishi 7 here, I do think there's a huge possibility that time travel, deities, fox spirits, time loops, and doppelgangers could also play a huge role in the game. With the fox mask and the glowing eyes, it seems like we could be very well dealing with a Kitsune deity or fox spirits here, and the cult could also be involved in manipulating time and using various fox abilities passed down through either Kitsune Suke, aka fox possession, or fox witchcraft. It could be that these fox spirits are also trying to take over Hinako's friends, either corrupting them or creating doppelgangers of them, shapeshifting into them and using their forms to corrupt Hinako and trying to turn Hinako into one of them, using her as a catalyst for their ritual. Perhaps these fox spirits have also infiltrated the whole village of Ibisugoka, either possessing all of the villagers or killing and shapeshifting into them, taking over their lives as doppelgangers, almost like body snatchers. In addition, Kitsune are shapeshifters and tricksters, so it's also possible that these doppelgangers that Hinako sees of herself or her friends could also very well be Shu or this male fox priest, who could be an older version of Shu, taking on their forms to trick and manipulate Hinako. The fox-masked priest who looks like Shu could either be the result of the cult having somehow transformed Shu into a vessel or avatar for their fox deity, or he could simply be the human form of their cult's deity, Inari, who was the first of his kind to arrive in the village and helped form this cult, leading them to worship him as their deity. This means that if Shu was the first fox spirit or deity that arrived at the village, or even the first to be possessed by one there, perhaps Hinako was the only one in the village who befriended and took care of him when he first arrived in her village, or was there to save him if he was injured, or just helping him to adjust to his human form or human life in this new village. If that's the case here, then it makes sense that he would feel indebted to her as well. In Ryukishi's other works like Higurashi, Iwaihime, and Umanenko, childhood bonds often warp into adult obsession, betrayal, or supernatural pacts, so a similar theme here would be fitting as well. Ryukishi 7 has a way of turning innocent friendship into a terrifying, obsessive, and tragic fate. The Kitsune priest, aka Shu, may be trying to save Hinako's soul, but his version of salvation may be twisted, dragging her deeper into the cult and its twisted rituals and teachings. things. Shu being a Kitsune would also explain why Shu's family is seemingly involved in medicine and healing practices, because Kitsune are often linked to herbalism and herbal healing practices in Japan. Kitsune will often use plants and herbs as remedies, and folk healers would use these remedies in their medicinal practices. Inari Kitsune in particular are typically seen as healers, aiding those in need of both physical and spiritual healing. Herbs typically associated with fertility and vitality were also said to be favored by Inari Kitsune. It's also said that Yako or malevolent Kitsune also have the potential for healing and will offer assistance when approached with respect. There are tales of Kitsune aiding people suffering from various ailments, often appearing in dreams or visions to provide guidance and impart knowledge on natural remedies, healing herbs, and treatments. There is also famous stories surrounding Kitsune as healers, which tells of a fox who transforms into a woman and marries a man, then later revealing her true identity to save him from an illness. And another story, a tale in which a fox spirit helps heal a sick child. It makes sense then that this male fox priest would be Shu, especially since his profile mentions being from a family of physicians and herbal practitioners. As the possible fox deity Inari, or leader of this fox cult, the glowing yellow fox eyes and his blue lantern seems to hint at this man having strong supernatural abilities. One of these could very well be the ability to stop and travel back in time, or to trap the entire village and Hinako in some kind of time loop in an effort to help or manipulate her for some purpose. If he has traveled back in time, then perhaps some event has happened surrounding Hinako and her friends that he has to go back and change. He could be forcing Hinako and her friends to relive and change events to get things right. If the grave we see in the teaser trailer is either Hinako's, Shu's, or one of her friends, then it could be possible that he has simply traveled back in time to make sure this death does not happen, which may actually be why he wants Hinako to kill her friends, so that either he or Hinako will not die, or so that him and the cult can orchestrate these murders and frame her for the killings of her friends, making the police suspect Hinako so that they will kill her or put her in jail. The crime scene with the pipe here does seem like it's set up to look like Hinako has murdered her friends with this pipe, which would make Hinako an obvious suspect. We could see Hinako kill her friends during the first playthrough of the game, only for it to be revealed that it was the cult that was behind everything and was only staged that way to make her look guilty. So, those are my final thoughts and theories on Silent Hill F. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my theories? Do you believe that Shu is the mysterious fox priest we got introduced to in this new trailer? If so, do you believe he is a fox spirit, deity, or possessed by one? Or do you believe that Shu and Hinako's friends aren't really her friends, but are actually really the priest and priestesses of the shrine and cult, and are either just projections, manifestations, drug-induced hallucinations by the cult, or fantasies she created to cope with trauma and isolation? Do you think Konami and Ryukishi are messing with us, making us think that Hinako is killing or has killed her friends during the first playthrough of the game, but the truth will actually be revealed in the second and third playthroughs to be something completely different than what we initially think? Do you think the cult and something supernatural is really going on here? Or is this just Hinako's psyche manifesting her isolation, trauma, and guilt over having killed her friends? What are your thoughts and theories on this new trailer? Please let me know in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you liked the video and want to see more. We are getting really close now. It's only a month away, and to be honest, I think I've seen enough of the game at this point. I think if I see any more, I'll end up spoiling or ruining the game for myself, so I'm actually going to stay away from any more trailers or gameplay footage for the time being. I know they will likely release a launch trailer closer to when the game releases, but as I mentioned in my previous videos, those are typically spoilery, so I usually try to stay away from them. The game looks fantastic so far, and I will definitely be getting it day one, physically if I can, and playing it with the English dub. I loved theorizing about this game, and I can't wait to play it, examining all the secrets and details and getting all the endings. I will also be posting playthrough videos for it, as well as maybe theories, secrets, and summaries on it after the game comes out as well. So please stay tuned for those as well. If there's anything else you'd like to see on this game when it comes out, please let me know. My gameplay videos will also be releasing in the next 2 weeks as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please check out my earlier theories about Hinako's friends here, and I'll see you all next time.